Dancing in the moonlight, everybody's feeling warm and bright. And that is why I shouldn't be on American Idol.
No, I thought that sounded good, Stu. Well, welcome back,
dude.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long week. I'll tell you that much, man. I missed you.
Yeah,
it was a good week since our last podcast, and I'm glad to see you again. And we've got a great guest. So why don't you tell us about who we've got today?
So I brought a friend over. Her fear is it's a little deep, man. No,
we're going deep tonight.
It's going way deep.
We're not talking like ghosts and vampires and shit like that.
You know, we got to have a lot of fun, then we got to go deep. We got to have crazy ones. We got to switch it up.
Love it.
So, brought my friend in. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Hi.
Hey, Laura.
Welcome to the club, Laura.
Thanks.
How is it?
I'm excited to be here.
Cool. That's good.
Excited to figure out what these beers are and how he's going to tie that in.
Well, that's good and bad news for you, Laura. I love your fear. It's hard to match a beer to your fear. So I will tell you, it's not going to be perfect, but I'm pretty sure the beers are going to be, which is the most important
complete faith in you.
100%.
And we just met, and you already have complete faith in me, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, Derek, roll the damn thing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi, my name is Stu Hawk, and this is my podcast about all the weird, crazy, spooky things that scare me and my guests, and the one thing that helps us forget all about them. Ladies and gentlemen, beer freaks. Bingo was his name, and we're back.
Have you ever played bingo? Like in the halls or the retirement homes?
Oh, you're talking about
those guys get hardcore playing bingo.
I'm glad you finished with core rather than just finish. Okay. I could have gotten weird.
Very quick.
It could have gotten way
very quick. I've known Derek a hot minute.
Yeah.
Same.
But we haven't talked in like
You accidentally
years.
butt dialed me?
I did one time.
5 or 6 months. You were just looking at the house when you butt dialed me.
Now,
which is insane. How does that happen on a touch phone? Like,
and I'm an L. I'm in there.
No idea, dude. It was a crazy
I was
thing.
even surprised. I was like, Derek's calling me.
You're like, what?
Like, what's this all about?
Yeah, I was like,
what's going on?
Hey, man. And you're like doing stuff. Hello?
I think the worst fear is like butt dialing someone and talking shit about them while you're doing that.
Or
not that I
text.
talk a lot of shit about people, but like what if it happened to be that one time and that person was the person you butt dialed?
Dude, most of the time that is how it happens, dude. It sucks.
In movies, of course.
Have you ever sent like your coworker or a boss an email where you're talking shit about like somebody else and then it actually makes its way to them?
Luckily,
like by like forwarding and replying.
You gotta be
and then
very careful about those forwards.
No.
Absolutely.
Those reply all button. That fucking reply all button.
You don't play around with that. You don't
I'll
play around
forward. That way I can pick, take out.
Smart.
That is very... See, that's why I'm excited to have her on the show because she's very smart.
Yes.
And I'm excited to hear this fear. I'm excited to get into the beer.
I agree. And I think, Laura, it's time for you to introduce yourself because you've already just jumped right into the conversation. You're basically a co-host at this point. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born and raised in Texas. And
Tejas, I believe it's pronounced.
Tejas. That's right.
Don't ask her about Alabama.
Yeah.
Bama?
I moved to Alabama when I was 18, and then I have been in Vegas for 7 years. So,
are you a Roll Tide?
I am. That's where I went to school.
Mm-hmm.
So we Alabama football have ironically a lot of followers in Vegas area. So we would all get together and watch football together. And it used to be at the Nacho Daddy in Henderson.
Yeah.
And then
which is now a Chick-fil-A.
God.
So terrible.
But dude, those lines are at the freaking door.
They are. Like, I don't know what they're doing, but they have got their system down.
They have cocaine in there.
Yeah.
They're putting something in there.
No, I just mean like they get the people in and out. Like, I mean, it is.
No. There's cocaine in the chicken and there's cocaine in the employees. Yeah. Like, there's both. Hey, man, that's why they're all excited. And there's no sugar in Coke.
No, it's all clean.
Depends on the cut, I guess. That's what it's all about.
You got to get it from a good source.
Yeah, sure. Sure. So sorry, we cut you off. We cut you off.
No, it's totally fine.
This
I was
happens
trying
all
to
too often. I
listen
blame Derek.
how that went.
But
into,
easy in the
I want to
skies.
hear how that one ties into Chick-fil-A when people actually listen back. They're going to like
With cocaine?
get so offended and stop listening. They're going to be like, they disgrace Chick-fil-A. How dare they? Like,
Our 3 listeners.
Our
My
3
mom.
listeners.
yeah,
Your
you're
mom.
3.
They're
you
not
might
gonna stop.
lose-
They're not gonna stop.
You might lose one.
They're diehards. We got
You're gonna
3
be-
diehards
It's
because
all
they're our parents.
It's our parents. Duh. They don't care what
Perfect.
we say. They'll be like, "Oh, honey, that was so."
You
That
sounded
sounds like an
so
Asian mom.
smart.
I called my parents today actually, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, like, we've got some cool podcast episodes coming up that I'm actually really excited about." And they were like, "Oh, you got to send us the link." And I was like, "I just kind of wanted to tell you. I didn't really want you to listen, so just was bragging more than like wanting you to participate because
Yeah.
I say some fucked up things on here."
Yeah.
100%. So I felt when I was I'm in show business. That's how I got into Las Vegas. I was in an off-Broadway musical at the Planet Hollywood.
She's
Really?
badass.
Yeah. So
No shit. Which one?
That's how we kind of connected. We were talking
Yeah.
about at public school, right? We were talking about like the arts. And stuff.
Yep, the arts. Yeah, totally. But do you know anything about Evil Dead?
Yes.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
the Evil Dead used to have a show at the Planet Hollywood, and I was Shelly, which is Scotty's dumb girlfriend in the beginning.
Of course.
And then I played the professor's daughter, Annie, in the second act of the show. So I came back and saved the day and sent all the...
So were you like the protagonist of the show?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Well
Yeah.
done.
That's tight.
But,
That's
yeah,
really
so
tight.
there's a scene in it, though, where, like, the trees, like, attack me and they, like, tear my clothes off. And then I was just, like, in full lingerie, getting covered in blood. And I was like, hey, my Baptist parents, I was like, hey, maybe you shouldn't come see the show. It'll be fine.
I'll just send you the reviews.
Don't look
Yeah.
it up.
Show's canceled. I don't know. Canceled all
Don't
of a sudden.
Google the show. It's pretty risque. I felt bad for my grandparents. They were like, we want to come see you. And I was like, that's not a good idea.
Did they ever actually come see the show though?
No.
You kept them away. You fully just gave them the stiff arm.
Yep.
You're like, you're out. This is how we summarize things around here.
Easy.
Very easy.
But what's not easy is drinking really good beer and finding really good beer based on someone's fear.
Okay, so what we need you to do is you don't need to get into why, how, whatever. Just tell us what your fear is.
Give us that cliff
We're gonna
note.
crack some beers that hopefully align a little bit with it. Then we'll drink the beer, and then we'll delve into the fear.
Well,
So
so give us a cliff note of your fear.
Cliff
Don't
Notes. See, you're bringing it back.
tell us
Beautiful.
exactly what it is. Just give us like a little taste.
Well, it definitely works with the whole not mattering thing.
I like
Fear of not mattering.
it. Ooh, I like that.
Fear of not mattering.
Mattering. Mm.
Love that. Love that.
Well, I'm excited to see what you pick, Stu.
So I did
tell us
get a
about
couple
this.
of beers. I got a couple of beers. One that I think is an instant reaction to a fear like this. So let's pop those bad boys out of the fridge. The first one is actually Shiver Giver, which is by 7.5 Brewing. The reason I love this beer, and I've had it before, by the way, but the reason I think I love this beer is, first of all, it's Ryan Reaves Brewery, right? So if you're a Vegas local, you love the Golden Knights, Ryan Reaves, our boy, our dude, the guy who crushes the opposition. So just love to support that. But the reason I chose this particularly for this fear is because I think deep down the fear of not mattering is probably one of the deeper fears that you can have, because really everything else is sort of layered on top of that. So like if you're afraid of ghosts, let's say for instance, well that's like sort of like a top level fear, like that freaks you out. You see it around the corner. Okay. That's scary. Totally. And I love talking about ghosts, but none of that really matters if you don't matter at all. Right. So at the very core, at the very foundation, if you don't matter, if life is meaningless, if there's no purpose, if there's no drive, if there's no reason for you to matter, then what the fuck does it matter if you got scared by a ghost last night? So for me, Shiver Giver is really a good representation of what happens when someone says something that just is like, wow, that got me to the fucking core, man. So the fear of not mattering gave me the shivers. So Shiver Giver it is. Guys,
Cheers.
cheers.
Thanks for having me on.
7.5 Brewing.
I love it, man. I'm excited. I've never had anything
Shiver.
by Ryan Reaves yet.
Right. So this is Ryan Reaves, man. This is the guy. Like, he's the enforcer on the Golden Knights. I just want to throw that out there.
All right, so what do you guys think of the beer, man? I like the 7.5 Ryan Reaves IPA.
Yeah. What I like about this beer particularly is it's got a decent amount of hops, but it's not like really, really bitter. Don't get me wrong. I love a good IPA that's like got that super hoppy, super West Coast style flavor. But you got to be in the mood for it, right? So like if you're just looking to sit back and enjoy like a couple of beers, and you're not looking to like make that like hoppy beer face, this is actually pretty good because it almost has sort of like an amber feel. It almost has a little bit of like a maltier like backing. So you're not just sitting there like getting hammered with hops. You're getting like the hops, but you're also getting like a little bit of a back end of that like amber malty sort of flavor.
Dude, no, I totally agree because the funny thing is you've probably heard, I'm not a big IPA guy.
Yeah.
Like I can't do it. I can't do that bitterness. I can't but this one, I'm really, really surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as sharp as all the other IPAs I've tasted before.
You can
Normally
take
it's
it-
like, oh, that is...
Like a blast.
Yeah, it's like a bite. But this one, it's smooth, but it also has the bites. Like it bites you and then it's smooth. So it's not as, potent as most IPAs are. So it's nice. Like I would drink this and I don't really care for IPAs that much.
It'd be like a good beer to like teach someone to like IPAs.
Yeah,
Yes.
this would be a
100%.
perfect starter
Yeah.
beer
Yeah.
for that because
Good job, Ryan.
I'm waiting for the bite.
Yes.
And I don't get it.
Yeah,
Which is
there's
awesome.
no bite. There's no major bite, which is kind of funny when you think about Reeves and his
Yeah.
personality. You expect this to fucking blast
Yeah.
you,
Like punch you in the
You're like,
face.
oh, this is nice and subtle.
But it's
Super
like-
hop.
So my thing is, this is his own. Does he have his own brewery? Like, is there a 7.5 brewery in
7.5
Vegas?
Brewing, man. Yeah,
But
absolutely.
is it brewed out of a different brewery, or does he have his own place you can go sit down? Like you have Able Baker, you have all these places.
So you just said it. So actually, it is brewed by Able Baker.
So Able Baker puts it out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I think it's a really great partnership and obviously something that I think a lot of people love. If you go to a Knights game, fingers crossed, one day we'll be able to go back to the T-Mobile
Jesus.
Arena and watch a Knights game live at some point. You can actually buy the 7.5 Brewing. It's one of the best beers you can actually get there.
Nice.
So, and it's a good partnership. It's something that I think people are passionate about because they love Ryan Reaves.
Yep.
They love the Knights. And it's something that we can support locally too, because it is also actually Able Baker.
Exactly. Local.
Like people here in Vegas are starting to feel a lot of pride, and that's why we're supporting Able Baker. That's why we're supporting 7.5 Brewing and Ryan Reaves and the Knights.
Yep.
Boom.
Which I think
Rant
actually works.
over.
Rant over. What's
Can
that?
I drop
what's
this
what's
beer
that?
on your floor?
Yeah.
Just like,
Beer drop.
no, I don't waste beer.
Pissed in
though.
there.
I don't waste beer.
I
just burped real
yeah, I
hard.
know, I heard it.
Sounded like you turned on a garbage disposal in like the next
It was a
room,
deep one.
and the
It was
door
one of
was
those
kind of
deep
closed,
ones.
but kind of cracked.
It was one of those. That,
All
like,
I could
you
think about
felt
was like, wow,
from
that sounded
here.
like a garbage disposal. Like those games where they play on the radio, where like, what sound was that? All right, Stacy, let's take your call.
Garbage
And you're like, that was a
disposal.
garbage disposal.
I've never had my burp called a garbage disposal.
You're
disposal.
welcome.
And I
was
appreciate
amazing.
that. That's fantastic.
So no, I love that you brought that up, man, because this beer is, we talk about how it's, it's very local. Like people drink it to support the community, to kind of have it out there and just to kind of be a support for everyone around the community, right? But it's funny because you can kind of go the other way with it. What if you don't feel a part of the community? Like what if you don't feel the same way that other people are feeling? What if it feels like this beer doesn't matter, right? So that kind of goes to
Yeah.
maybe the fear that someone that we may know has. I don't know.
Maybe someone on the show tonight.
Kind of, yeah, it could be. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we should get into, why don't we get into our fear?
Yeah. And Laura, this personally for me, I mean, I think that this is something that I personally deal with all the time. I think it's something that a lot of people think about a lot. It's we can get deeper into it, and I just want to hear your perspective. But I just think that like literally the idea of not mattering is fundamental to the human experience and the nature that we experience.
Yeah, it's definitely tied into the fact that typically most people are afraid of death.
Sure.
So that goes back into how most people are afraid of dying because we don't know what comes after that.
Sure.
So, if your life doesn't matter, then I mean, what is the point? It's the same. I think it ties into the same like mental like part of your brain that people think about when it's like they bring up, oh, well, life after death. Like, is there something? Do you not know anything? Like, what happens? It's such, I think that's why people are so afraid, is because they want to know what's going on, and we have no clue. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, the idea that we just don't have any idea. It is interesting because I think that you're touching on something of people could maybe come to grips a little bit better with death if they knew what was coming, right? But the unknown freaks people out. Mm-hmm. But even deeper, like what you're talking about, I think is like, okay, but what are we even here for?
Yeah.
I mean, is it simply procreation?
Oh.
You know?
I mean, depends on what book you're reading and who you follow.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of religions out there. There's a lot of governments out there. There's a lot of morals and ethics out there.
There's a lot of beliefs out there. It's more of, I mean, depends on what you believe and who you follow and, you know, just what you think as a whole. Because, like you said, most, you know, is it all about procreation? Some people would tell you yes. The whole point is to keep it going. You know, if we don't, then it just stops.
If that's the whole point, though, isn't that kind of...
It's silly.
Meaningless?
I think it's a little silly.
I mean, I guess it's not meaningless. I guess I should...
It's not meaningless. But like it ties into even the small basis of like your family traditions. Like it all starts with traditions. Like people, you want to pass down your family traditions, and so that you can learn them, and then your kids can learn them, and then their kids' kids can learn them, so that part of you stays alive. That part of your family stays alive. So it's like it continues. You know, it's something that matters. Yeah. Like I was watching a Netflix show last night, the Chef's Table Barbecue.
That was so good.
It was so good. But the last episode was about the Mayan people down in Mexico, and how this lady, I don't remember her name, forgive me, but she basically went on about how she didn't want to learn Spanish, that she only wanted to speak Mayan because she felt like it was disrespectful to her parents and her parents' parents, because that's how she was raised. She was raised to be a Mayan woman, and that's just how they did things. And they were, obviously, she went on to talk about how they cooked the barbecue and the food, but she said, I want my kids to learn it, but like, it's hard now, you know, because there's cell phones and computers, and it's different. It's not about staying at home and helping your family. It's, you know, the traditions and the tactics of how we raise our children have completely changed. So it goes into, you know, what matters and what doesn't. Because even now, like, I know you said you have a kid, but if you, like, when you have those children, that you want to dig deep down and like, what matters the most to you? What do you want to pass on to keep either traditions alive, or how you think and believe and your ethics alive, so that, you know, your kids can hold on to that. So like when they're older, they can think back like, oh, I did this with my dad, or I remember doing this with my mom, or, you know. Sure. So it keeps that going. So is it tied into that?
So is that, I guess, for your perspective, right? I mean, you have a child. Mm-hmm. So when you say that the importance of mattering is the importance of literally passing on traditions and letting your child, you know, have a good memory of you and things like that. Is that what is important, or are you thinking on a different level?
No, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, the fear of not mattering to your kid, or not leaving such an imprint that you can, that your kid would remember that about you when they get older and they start having their own, you know, abilities to choose how they want to go and which road they want to take. But it's, I mean,
what? So let me ask this: put it in this weird perspective, right? And this is a question for both of you. So like, we have probably the best luck in the entire universe, as far as we're aware. We haven't found life. We haven't found conscious life. I'm sure that there's conscious life that exists in the universe. Oh, yeah. Mathematically, it's
impossible.
It's almost impossible for it not to exist.
Almost impossible.
Right? But like, okay, but as far as we know, there's nothing else out there that exists from conscious life.
Yep.
So we are incredibly lucky to be able to provide meaning to what happens around us. Otherwise, we could just be stardust. We could be planets. We could be whatever. Mm-hmm. We would be floating in the universe, but we would make no meaning. We would have no consciousness. We would have no understanding of what's happening around us. The only reason we're here sitting in this podcast booth talking shit drinking beer and having fun together is because somehow some electrical signal changed the way that our brains worked, changed the way that our matter worked, and gave us this sort of strange consciousness. Why does that matter from a cosmic perspective?
Because we're all connected.
Well, okay. So expand on that.
Because we're all made from the same thing, essentially, right?
Stardust.
Yeah.
I was going to say atoms.
Well,
Fair. Well, right. Yeah. I mean, same thing.
Yeah,
Atoms
I'm,
and
I'm
Eves.
sitting on a bunch of
No, I'm
atoms.
kidding.
I'm drinking a bunch of
Yeah.
atoms. I'm talking into an atom. Like if you all break
Yep.
it down into a
It's all the
molecular
same.
level, it's all just atoms.
Some guy was actually trying to figure out, okay, what is the body made of, right? So he takes everything we're made of, any kind of molecule, any kind of just anything, everything that makes up our body.
Mm-hmm.
And it should be like, you should, obviously with math, you should get like, oh, it's 100% of what, is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they were always missing like just a little tiny bit, like 0.0 something percent, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's when he kind of came to the conclusion, like this consciousness that we all have, like you can't measure that, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because then what happens when the body dies, right? Like what is it? And why is it so different? And why do we all see things so different? Like,
Well, on that, like, have you heard about those children who talk about lives that they
that they used to live.
they
Oh my
used to
God.
have, like toddlers? They say that there's like my best friend back home. Her son has talked about how he was in a war and then he had to go to heaven and he was going to come back as a little girl, but he didn't want to, so he went back and then came back as a little boy.
Look at
What? Yeah,
You got
I know.
goosebumps? Dude, you got
It's
goosies?
so-
Dude,
and there's so
there's
many stories. Dude, I have a
Totally.
thread
And
on
they
Facebook
know-
I could send to both of you. It makes me like I have to step away from it because it's so
And they know, like,
yeah. You
like,
can Google these
to
people.
where there's no way that this person could know this.
It'd be like your 3-year-old telling you a very distinct fact about
where they lived,
the
what they
like
did.
the 1900s.
It's crazy, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, so it's like how does that like you're talking about your consciousness. How does your consciousness not take that and continue or move on or go on?
Yeah.
Which just is like the circle that
Yeah.
keeps going. Like that comes from something, our consciousness and our thoughts and what
Yeah.
matters to us starts from something. So
Do you know the Billie Eilish song "Bury a Friend"? When we all fall asleep, where do we go?
Yes.
So
I love
that
Dude,
particular
her lyrics are legit. You
Oh
should
my
listen.
God.
Awesome,
I know
dude.
like she's kind of like different.
I love Billie
No,
Eilish.
she's got great lyrics.
So, but that particular line, the one that you were just calling out. So, when we all fall asleep, where do we go? So, what if, like, and this is just getting totally out there, right? Like, but what if, like, when you wake up in the morning, right? You make this assumption. You make this assumption of like you have this memory, this history of what's happened in your entire life. You can remember what happened yesterday, a couple of days ago, and then it probably gets a little foggier. But
Depends
like,
on the day.
yeah, it depends on how many beers you had the night before. But so you have this assumption that like, yes, I have this history, right? Like, but we all think about the Matrix, right? We all think about like these weird situations. We all think about like different ways in which consciousness could exist. Like, what if every morning when you wake up, you're actually a different person? And you were instilled with some memories like that, like almost like a Matrix situation.
Whoa.
So you're plugged in, and actually the entire life that led up to that day, to today, right, was actually just a memory. There's no way to prove that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna go on the other direction of that, but we're kind of already living in that life. Like we're all connected, yet so alone.
Yeah. Ooh, I like that.
Like, have you guys watched The Social Dilemma yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
dude.
so that part where he talks about how there's 8.3 billion people in the world or whatever.
Yeah.
There's 8.3 billion Truman shows. Like you technically only live like what you allow yourself to believe and cohere and adapt to is how you live your life, and he lives his life and I live my life. So technically they're all, even though they're all connected, they're still very different. So like,
And it's probably even truer since COVID.
pretty much. And so like sticking with the topic, like what matters to you may not matter to me or matter to him, or
Sure.
vice versa.
And then how you see things. To go back to the Matrix kind of deal is like, is what I'm looking at what you're looking at?
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean? Because
think there's
I'll
a-
see something like totally different than you. And maybe sometimes you'll see something the same. You
And
know?
that goes back to the consciousness too, because like that's like when people stare at clouds. Like, do you see the baby or do you just see a cloud?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Ink blot
How are,
tests.
how are we all
Yeah.
the same, and we're all built with the same stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Yet you come out red and I come out blue. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or pink and blue, or yellow and green.
no
Yeah.
wild
Nobody get
Fucking
angry about
dress on
colors here.
Facebook.
So-
I still saw gold. I don't know.
I forget who said it, but the unexamined life is like a wasted life or something like that. And I couldn't agree with anything like that more. Right? I mean, the idea that like we live these lives, and if you don't think about the kind of shit that we're thinking about,
Yeah.
if you don't think about like what this means, if you don't think about what the purpose is, if you don't have the fear that you have, Laura,
Yeah.
I mean, literally like the fear of not mattering, that's a real fear for someone who's actually thinking about what their life means.
Yeah.
And I feel bad for people, and I'm not being like patronizing or looking down upon people, but like people who don't examine their life and think like, what is my point? What is my value? What's my purpose? What am I doing here? Boy, oh boy, that is really sort of unfortunate to just not ever examine and think about.
Yeah.
I may be like maybe in a bit of a minority here, but you work in marketing as well. I mean, so you before you even watched The Social Dilemma, you already knew
Oh yeah.
the kind of targeting that you can do
So
with
bad.
Facebook.
Yeah.
It is
It's
bad,
easy.
but I also don't think it's as nefarious as like sometimes people make
No,
it out to be.
I don't think that Facebook
Like-
is out to get us and like
Or
brainwash
marketing
us.
companies.
Yeah.
We're not like, oh my god, I'm going to turn Derek into this like
robot.
not that
to
the Social
only
Dilemma
think
was
and
even
buy and do.
Well, they just want to make
what
money.
I want.
Whatever they can do to make money to sell their product, they're going to put out the marketing that could help them do that.
But here's the interesting thing, and this is actually something that I was talking about with my buddy. If someone's
people
dying
are-
next year, does it matter?
Well, people,
But we're
They're
all
gonna
gonna
they're gonna
die.
be because I hear the statement like, hey, look, I'm gonna be dead by then, so what do I care? You've heard that. We've all heard that, right?
Yeah, but that's I don't know. It just goes back to like, how incredibly selfish are you?
yeah, most
Like,
people. That's the thing.
millions
Is
and
most
millions
people,
of people have come
are
before
selfish.
you that had to not be selfish so that we could get to the way that we are now. Like
But
how
it's different
spoiled
To
and
be fair, I'd say that they didn't even have the opportunity to be selfish.
it's
the way
very
we
true.
are.
They didn't. No, not even in a slight
Right.
comparison. No way. We are the most.
They've never had to
spoiled.
think about it,
No,
really.
exactly,
Until
because
the Industrial Revolution.
It's the same thing with the Mayan company, like or the Mayan people. They only had one way of doing it, and that was it. That's all I know.
Now you have 8.3 billion people. You have 8.3 billion ways of doing things.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in most people, sadly, are selfish. They care. Well, let me rephrase. Not selfish, but they care about themselves more than anybody else.
Well,
So that's not saying they're not going to do something nice for someone else.
I think the idea of saying selfish, right? That's actually the right term. It's just gotten a bad rap.
Exactly.
Because
People take it so personally now.
Yeah.
It's like we're not calling you, the listener, selfish. We're
Because-
just saying that there are selfish people out there.
Because
I'm selfish. The things that I do are meant to serve me and my family,
Exactly.
right? And so,
Yeah,
so
which
it's like I
that's-
would.
Yes,
that's a
there is
good
a
thing.
level of selfishness
We're
that
all
has
selfish.
to
We
come.
have to
We are.
Of course.
In order to survive, you have to be selfish.
You have
Yes.
to be.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would help old ladies walk across the street and still be standing there when a bus walked by because
But-
I didn't give a fuck about myself.
Yeah.
You have to be selfish.
You do.
To
You
live.
have to. Yes, you have to. You got to take
So-
care of yourself first.
My point is, your term actually is not wrong. We're
Yeah.
mostly selfish,
Yep.
but it's just it doesn't need to be taken necessarily like defensively.
Bad.
Right.
So, Laura, I got a question. We talked a little bit. I felt like we were a little on the surface. I want to kind of get under the water and realize where this fear kind of came from. Like, at what point did you kind of consider and consciously think about, like, I have a fear of not mattering? Like, where did that come from?
So, okay, so my daughter turned 10 this year. And I knew, like, I remember being 10. Like, I slowly wanted to hang out with my friends more. Didn't want to go, because my parents are divorced, so I didn't want to go hang out with my dad. I wanted to stay home because I could hang out with my friends if I stayed home. So then it just became like my dad got put on the back burner. Sorry, Dad. But it just happens. So for all you people who don't know, my daughter lives in Alabama with my parents. So I am now the back burner. Like she wants to, and there's one, she's FaceTimer. Yeah. There's a thing called Roblox out and she doesn't want to talk to me. She wants to FaceTime her friends and play Roblox. So if she's on FaceTime with her friends, She can't answer my phone call. She can't answer my text because she's locked in, she's busy. So my fear came because she's slowly getting to that point where I don't matter that much anymore to her. And it's kind of a parent thing, but it's like, if you don't, if you got you're empty nesters, kind of you don't have your kids, then what do you got? Okay, your career. All right, cool. All right, that's fine. But in the end, what does it really matter? Yeah.
So is it almost more of a fear of not mattering to her?
So
how's it translate?
It's in general. This whole year, and it's not because of COVID. It's literally because she turned 10, and I knew that she's going down that road where I'm going to become less important, still important, but less important. That it's just what the hell am I doing with my life? What matters? What's gonna matter in 10, 8, 12, 20 years?
Sure.
And so it was just more of all right, I need to reassess some things. What's really important? What matters? What's important? What's gonna matter in 20 years?
Yes.
Is it gonna be your bank account? Is it gonna be your job? Because I'm pretty positive it's gonna be your loved ones and your family, and if you have kids, your kids. So it's just oh my God, okay.
Yeah. Dude,
where am I going moving forward? But I'm also getting to the point in my life where it's what matters most to me.
Sure. Yes.
And
you're learning. You're learning.
I want to live that way.
Yes.
You're just another number to most jobs.
Yep.
Especially nowadays. There's no loyalty to a job. You're fucking replaceable.
No, they'll find another one.
No matter where. No matter who we are and how high up we are.
Yeah. But that's the point.
Find somebody else.
It ties into the fear. If you're constantly reminded that you can just easily get replaced, or they'll find somebody cheaper, or it's it just gets down to your core of oh my gosh, okay, then what really matters, and is my life even meaningful?
Yeah.
Does it matter to anybody? What are you doing?
Yeah.
To leave your mark in any environment that you're in. What did I do at the arena that when I left I bettered it? What am I doing in my job now that when I leave I better it? And I guess that's just where that fear came from, to push that thought for me.
So I'll just say, on a macro scale, I think that what we do on the planet, we're ants, right?
Oh yeah.
We're moving things around.
God,
we're making things happen, and of course it's important, right? We're all serving each other, and that's what the important part of what we're doing is.
Yep.
But I do think that we have absolutely lost perspective in the one thing that we know, right? So I think, going back to what you said earlier about the afterlife, about where we're going, about all that kind of stuff, that's the one thing that none of us know. That none of us know. I would love to think that yes, we have some eternity somewhere.
Yeah.
Some sort of built-in, just cosmic eternity. It would be fantastic. It would be lovely to think that way. And some people believe that, some people don't believe that. It is what it is. But I think that the one thing that we can control right now is what's in our purview of what matters to us. And it's easier for some people than others, right?
Yeah.
I think it is important to love yourself.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself.
You do.
Hey, can we open our second beer?
Let's
by
do
the way?
it.
Oh my God, we
Thank
haven't
you.
done that yet. Go.
So Stu, tell us about this beer then that we're
right.
hammering home.
All right. So just going back to Laura's fear, which is around not mattering. I wanted to finish off the day with a beer that had some sort of realization, or maybe even a cosmic revelation.
Ooh.
So this beer is from San Diego.
Ooh.
You know, it's from my hometown.
Your
man.
hometown,
You know,
buddy.
I have a tendency towards this.
Hey, you can't go wrong.
Mason Aleworks, okay? Big time cosmic revelation. And what I want Laura to walk away with is, obviously, look, we're not solving any problems here with this podcast. But I do believe my whole thing around do we matter is what I said at the very beginning. Fuck, we are lucky to be stardust that somehow got imbued with
Our
a
good
consciousness. Well, for you, at least,
sorry.
anyway.
I was talking
You're a
about-
handsome man. But no, I mean, look, we could have just been, stars or planets or asteroids circling the universe with absolutely no consciousness.
Yeah.
Somehow, imagine you have probably, Laura, you have probably 1 in 10 trillion chance of having somehow your particles finding life and becoming conscious.
Becoming you.
Like, how crazy is that?
Oh, it's nuts.
I mean, it's absolutely astronomically
Goes back to
insane.
The atoms thing. Like,
And that's how people need to look at it, man.
So
It is a miracle.
So the idea of like mattering, and don't get me wrong, I grapple with this all the time. But man, when you put it in like perspective like that, like, Jesus, we gotta like take every second and enjoy our beers,
And have a
enjoy our
cosmic-
company,
Have a cosmic
enjoy
revelation.
the great people that we know, enjoy our great geography, and fuck, we're lucky. Okay, guys. So cheers
I like that.
to
Cheers.
this big time
Cheers,
cosmic revelation.
God, this is another one. Good job, Stu.
It's a hazy IPA.
Yeah.
Dude, this sucker just goes down super smooth.
It's very smooth. It's
There's
got a
no
lot
bite.
of haziness. Yeah.
I love this. Man, look at San Diego coming in for it. Mason. Jesus.
San Diego always comes in clutch, man.
Oh,
always,
look at that cool
always.
eye. I love their artwork. I love the can.
That eye in the middle.
yeah,
It's
the
a
can
very-
is
watching.
nice.
It's a very sexy can.
Oh yeah, it's
Very
watching you
sexy
now.
can.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
Laura, it's looking at you.
Perfect. I love it though, man. I love this. This is so
good beer.
good. And it's so smooth.
I've never had this one.
And it's surprising, which kind of goes into what we're talking about tonight,
It's more
right?
fruity than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Like normally IPA, I'm assuming bite, right? You're assuming something from what you know, that all, IPAs are bitter, right? And then you try something new,
Yeah,
and what happens?
yeah,
Oh my God, it's way different than I thought. It's a lot smoother than I thought.
yes.
Like-
And the hazy will do that to you almost every time. That's why I fell in love with hazy or New England style or whatever you want to call it. Hazy style was just kind of a nice little chip away from the soup. And again, like, look, I love a really strong West Coast IPA most of the time.
Yeah.
Derek's favorite, by the way. Derek's gagging on a dick.
Yeah. Gagging on an IPA.
This weekend not mattering.
Yeah, who cares if we don't matter?
cares if we
Might as
gag
well
on
just
dicks?
gag
Who
on a
gives a
dick.
shit?
Whatever. So, I mean, I think it's interesting because, like, look, the hazies are sort of a weird entryway.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, and I think we talked about this before. But my old boss used to hate the beer that I drink.
Yeah.
Like, we would go for happy hour, and I would get like a good like Lagunitas or a Stone or something like that, and he would have like literally a Michelob Ultra or something,
White Claw.
and he would go like, man, that fucking IPA that you've got, I can smell it from over there, like
Yeah.
it just smells bad, and I'm like, no, it smells great, man. This is the shit. And what finally actually brought him into the IPA scene, and not that he's big on it now, but was Love Lady made a New England style IPA.
That's right.
And Love Lady, by the way, for those listening, is a Las Vegas brewery.
Yep.
Relatively new. I think they only opened in like
Awesome.
2017, 2018 or so.
Yep.
Derek and I always meet at St. Patrick's Day at Love Lady almost
That's a spot,
every year.
man.
That's the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a great New England style. So he tried it and he was like, oh my God, you got to try this. And now he is totally okay. I wouldn't say loves, but is okay with IPAs.
Nice.
So it's like kind of a segue. It kind of like gets you into it.
Yeah. See, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And you weren't a big IPA fan, then you had that one, Laura, right?
Yeah, I'm not a big IPA, but these
Yeah.
two, they're not too bitey,
Yeah.
not so bitter. They're good.
Well,
I like them both.
That's awesome.
So you had a good fear that worked out well for the beer
Yeah,
that
I
we
was
wanted to
impressed by
buy.
the decisions. It worked out good.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Laura,
Yeah,
and
thanks
telling
for
us
having me.
and having such a deep convo.
Yeah.
Very deep.
Your
I
fear
liked
was incredible.
Yeah.
And
I
honestly,
think a lot of people relate.
we could talk a lot more about
Definitely
this. I could spend an entire evening talking about this. So anytime you want to come back, we can delve further into it.
Yeah, just
I know it's a bit of a drive for you.
No,
but
you're fine. Just let me know.
Well, now I'm going to dive deeper into my beer and then probably go to the bathroom. So, all right.
And on that
hell of
note,
a finish.
It will be.
Yes. Easy. He's bringing a sock in there with him, by the way.
All right, guys. We'll be seeing you.
We'll be seeing you, folks.